All right, welcome into the show, everybody. Altitude Sports Radio's in the paint. I'm Dan Tanner here to bring you Nuggets Suns post game reaction. We got about 26 seconds left here in the fourth quarter as the Nuggets are up 132 to 108 in the home opener over the Phoenix Suns. The Nuggets get right game for sure after their loss in overtime the other night to the Golden State Warriors. So lots to get into here, guys, on the post-game show. As always, feel free to tell me how you feel in the comments section. Post-game thoughts. The Nuggets just dominate the Phoenix Suns. And there's 15 seconds to go left in the game here, 133 to 111. So the Nuggets put up 133 points on a night that Nikola Jokic really didn't do a whole lot as far as scoring the basketball goes, especially in the first half. I don't believe he took a shot in the first half of this game. So, and the game just ended 133 to 111 is your final in this one, everybody. The Nuggets just look, great win for Denver. Home opener. The bench looked awesome. I think Jamal Murray looks fantastic. We'll get into all of that here in the post-game show. I don't know how good the Phoenix Suns are going to be this year. They still have Devin Booker, but that team is, I guess, in a semi-rebuild right now for that organization. So great win at home. They're 1-1 on the year. Like I said, they lose in overtime the other night to the Golden State Warriors, and they absolutely just dismantle the Phoenix Suns in this one. So just some initial thoughts from this game as we get going here. And like I said, feel free to leave me your comments. I want to get to all of your thoughts here on the game tonight. Joker averaged 36.7 minutes per game in the regular season last year. I actually looked that up during the game because I was curious. I would figure it was close to 40. Now, I was thinking about this. Remember, there were a lot of games last year where Nikola Jokic did not have to play in the fourth quarter because the Nuggets had such a big lead going into the fourth that Joker just didn't have to play. I thought that was going to be the case tonight. The Nuggets falter a bit. The second unit did falter a bit to start the fourth quarter. Joker and the starters have to come back in, and then they took care of business against the Phoenix Suns to close this thing out. But my point here is, and I've gotten into this a little bit over the last, couple of seasons, is managing Nikola Jokic's minutes. He played 32 minutes tonight. Like I said, he averaged 37 minutes a game last year. If he can get closer to that 32-minute mark like we saw tonight, I mean, that is the ideal scenario for Nikola Jokic as far as his minutes go. And again, 2 games in a row where we've seen David Adelman, really do his rotations differently. That was really interesting to see. He took Nikola Jokic out with 3 minutes to go in the game. So 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. That's something that has been completely different over the last, 6-7 years with Michael Malone at the helm. We'd always see Nikola Jokic play the entirety of the first quarter. Not always, but almost always saw Nikola Jokic play the entirety of the first quarter. And then he comes out to start the second. The second unit comes in. Sometimes they'd stagger Michael Porter Jr. with the second unit. Sometimes they'd stagger Jamal Murray with the second unit. Bring Joker back with about 6 to 8 minutes to go in that second quarter. Well, this year it's starting. We're only 2 games in, but it is starting to feel like Nikola Jokic is going to have an opportunity to not have to play massive minutes this year for the Nuggets, which is a good thing for this organization, especially come playoff time. I've talked about this at length over and over again because I do think it is absolutely critical for them to in-game load manage Nikola Jokic. And then obviously, when they have opportunities to not play the starters, or especially like Jamal and Joker or AG in the fourth quarter of games that they're winning by a large margin, I mean, that's obviously the ideal scenario. So I'm loving what I'm seeing so far from Adelman's rotations. Now, he did play the entirety of the third quarter. That is a little bit of a a nuance that Adelman's thrown in. I believe he played the entirety of the third quarter against the Warriors in their opener as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he did. So it is interesting that Adelman's deciding to take Nikola out at about the 3-minute mark, at least in games 1 and 2 to start the season, and then bring him back, about roughly halfway through the second quarter, but then playing the entirety of the third. I'm curious to see if that's going to continue as we move into the season, or if Adelman's just sort of tinkering with Joker's minutes in that way. But I will say, and I talked about this after the Warriors game, it's a lot easier to do that when the Nuggets finally have a legitimate backup center that is not going to just derail the offense when Joker's not out there. Now, I'm not trying to say Jonas Valanciunas is elite offensively, but he is more than capable offensively. I mean, tonight I thought he was excellent distributing the ball with that second unit. He was just hammering down rebounds. I mean, the guy is massive. So that was great to see. I think Big Val is going to be one of the most important keys for the Nuggets this year, not only in the sense of giving Joker more minutes off the floor to rest, but just to help that second unit produce. And in fact, that second unit in the first half, I thought really they won those minutes when Joker was not on the floor. That's 2 games in a row in the first half that the Nuggets have won the non-Jokic minutes, which is was few and far between going back to last season. So, I mean, I'm already very high on the Nuggets bench, and they just look fantastic. I thought Bruce Brown had a really good bounce back game tonight. He struggled in game 1. Cam Johnson looks like he's starting to get going a little bit. It was funny, and I love my guy Chris Marlowe, but on the broadcast, he was talking about Cam Johnson, and he hit the first 3 of the game, by the way. He hit his first shot. It was a 3. That was good to see that go in after struggling in Golden State in game 1. But he was like, yeah, he's got to get things going. I'm like, okay, we're 4.5 quarters into the season. Let's give him, 10 games to really see where he's at. And I had said I have a 20-game rule to really evaluate this team. Scott and Chris on the broadcast were saying Adelman has a sort of 10-game plan just to get these new guys integrated into what they do on the floor. So my rule is 20, at least to just really see who this team is, at least to start. Like, okay, what are we looking at with this team? But early returns say that the Nuggets bench has just been exponentially improved from what it was really, I mean, especially the last couple of years. It was much better in 2023. But like I said, I think this is the best bench the Nuggets have had in the Nikola Jokic era. And I don't think it's close, honestly. So that's been great to see. Hopefully they can keep that going. Tim Hardaway, I thought, had a really good game tonight. You saw his dad in the crowd there at the game. That was great to see. And he's just going to be that role player off the bench that can come in and hit threes. And that's exactly what that second unit was lacking last year. Thought it could be Julian Strawther, but it just didn't work out that way. So I still have high hopes for Julian, by the way. Like, the guy can score and he can shoot the basketball. I think he's just still growing into his NBA body, still maturing as an individual person and as an NBA player. So, but for the time being, this is the good news for you Nuggets fans. They have a lot of guys that can come off the bench and shoot the lights out of the basketball, which is freaking awesome. It's just something we have not seen much at all over the last couple of years. Now, like I said, in 2023, the bench unit was good. But if you think back to that bench unit, especially when it came to the playoffs, I mean, it was Christian Brown, it was Jeff Green, and it was Bruce Brown. I mean, those were the 3 guys off the bench that played the majority of the time with the second unit. This version of the Nuggets is a lot deeper than that team. And that's why I've said I think this roster overall is better than the 2023 championship team, which is great news. So kudos to the Nuggets front office, man, to the Tenzer and Wallace duo, one off season, and they just did a complete 180 with their bench unit. It looks exponentially better. I mean, it's not even close to what it was last year. So those are some very early positives from this very young Denver Nuggets season. And we got Daron Holm minutes late in the game. That was good to see. Hit his only shot. It was a 3-pointer. Good to see. I'm pretty high on Daron Holmes, watching his college tape and just seeing what he was able to do in summer league and training camp in the preseason. He looks like an NBA player. He's just very young, very raw. I just don't think this is the year where we're going to be seeing a lot of Daron Holmes. And if we are, that's probably not the best of news as far as the injury front goes for the Nuggets this year. But the bench tonight was, I thought, especially in the first half, was spectacular. They haven't been as good defensively as I thought they were going to be, at least through the first 2 games, but it's still very early. The bench unit, it felt like the Nuggets were up by 17 early in the fourth, and it just felt like they kind of just thought they had won this game. They let the Suns kind of creep back into it. I mean, it was nothing crazy. Like, they didn't let the Suns get to within 3 or 4 points. I mean, I think the closest they got was 10 or 11. So it wasn't like they just completely blew a lead there in the fourth quarter, but they did kind of take their foot off the gas in the fourth quarter, and then you have to bring the starters back in. They get the job done and close this thing out. But overall, I mean, not much to complain about in this game tonight. I thought the starting unit was fantastic. Second game of seeing Jamal Murray just look like a completely different NBA player from what we saw over the first couple of months of last year's version of Jamal Murray. I talked about this after game 1. He looks in incredible shape. I thought he came into the season very out of shape last year. It took him a few months to get going. And look, Jamal Murray is a notoriously slow starter. He's been that way his whole career. I don't think we're going to get a notorious slow start from Jamal Murray, at least from what he's looked like through these first 2 games. I mean, he has looked absolutely fantastic. He's confident. He's creating space with his dribble. He's nailing open threes. He's driving to the rim, drawing fouls, making shots through contact. I mean, everything I've seen from Jamal Murray has been awesome. And honestly, his body language tonight I thought was fantastic. It looks like he's having fun out there. There was a lot of times last year where it did not look like Jamal Murray was enjoying playing basketball. That has not been the case so far. So that is, not only has his play been better to start the year versus what it was last year, but I think the body language has been excellent so far to start the season for Jamal. He looks confident. Like I said, he's in shape. He's clearly in shape, and he just looks like he's come into this season on a mission, which is awesome to see. This was another, sort of classic Nikola Jokic game where he didn't take a shot in the first half of this game. But he gets another triple-double before the end of the third quarter. His 69th in his career before the fourth quarter. That is an insane stat that Joker will just keep going. So it was great to see Joker just decided to distribute the basketball early on. And I love that, by the way. This team doesn't need Nikola Jokic to average 30 points a game. Okay? I believe he averaged 29.8 last year. Now, he can do it, but I've been saying this for years. The Nuggets are at their best when Nikola Jokic does not have to go nuclear scoring the basketball. That means that everyone else is getting involved. And usually it's Nikola Jokic getting them involved. And if he's continuing to get them involved, it probably means the offense is rolling along pretty well and that they're making their open shots. So, Joker not taking a shot in the first half, couldn't care less, quite honestly, as long as the Nuggets are doing well on the offensive end. Now, if they're struggling, we've seen Nikola Jokic go into just, all right, I need to score here mode, and he can do that as well, which is one of the things that makes him so great. But I thought his distribution of the basketball tonight was phenomenal. He's, especially the new guys with Nikola Jokic, getting them involved early. I mean, Cam Johnson gets the first 3-point shot of the game. That was great to see. You could see his confidence going up a little bit. Just an overall fantastic win for the Nuggets. All right, like I said, feel free to leave me your comments. We'll try and get some Adelman post game here. As soon as that gets posted, I will be happy to bring that to you. Let's see. Let's get to some of your comments here. Yeah, a lot of people are talking about Aaron Gordon's dunks tonight were ridiculous. So he had the first one that was just sort of the straightforward flyover, but the 360 in the air, I think that was Jamal Murray that passed him that. I could be wrong, but I believe it was Jamal. That was absolutely incredible. I mean, that was one of the sickest dunks I've ever seen. Maybe it's just playing the Suns. Aaron Gordon just loves throwing down ridiculously awesome dunks against the Phoenix Suns. If you go back a couple of years on the Christmas night game here in Denver, Aaron Gordon, the memorable dunk over Landry Shamet, that was awesome. But that 360 dunk tonight I thought was just absolutely awesome. And Aaron Gordon, my goodness, that dude, I talked about Jamal Murray being ready to go to start the season this year, which is great because we haven't seen that in the past. My God, Aaron Gordon is just always ready to go. So that was really cool to see also. Let's see here. Dante says, Jamal seems like he's happier with the backup guards this year. I think Jamal's just happier overall with this team because, he doesn't have to do as much. There's not as much pressure on Jamal Murray this year to do everything with he and Nikola Jokic in the starting unit, which is fantastic. So it's not just Nikola Jokic that's going to benefit from the improved depth on this team. It's going to be everybody. It's going to be all the starters that benefit from this. And it's just been absolutely cool to see so far through the first two games of the season. I'm trying to, be even keel with this team, but I said this before the season. I really do think this team is going to win the NBA championship this year, barring health and all that stuff. Now, Oklahoma City is still just going to be a juggernaut. I think Houston's a little overrated, quite honestly. I like what they're doing, but I don't see them competing with the Thunder or the Nuggets in the West. I really do think it's a two-horse race in the Western Conference, vying for the 1 seed, and that's going to be the Denver Nuggets and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Maybe Golden State's a dark horse in the West, but it's going to be, a pretty close one. Okay, some other thoughts for tonight's game. Let's see here. Kevin says, and the bench depth has been awesome. Yeah, like I said, I mean, it's, it's just 2 games, right? But it looks just compared to what it was like last year, it's just not even close how much better the bench is. Bruce Brown, I thought, was much, much better tonight versus game 1. He's kind of getting going defensively. And, there was that offensive rebound Brucey B had. I believe it was in the first half. He's got 3 Suns surrounding him and just muscles his way through, doesn't hit the shot, but gets fouled, goes to the free throw line. Those are the little things that Bruce Brown brings to this team that don't necessarily show up as like glamorous stats, but those are invaluable. That's the reason the Nuggets brought Bruce Brown back. The little things he does that are so invaluable to this team. And then obviously he can shoot the 3 ball. He's a really good defender. He knows how to play with Nikola Jokic. He knows how to play with the bench unit and or the starting unit. So he's very versatile there. He's their Swiss Army knife. So it was awesome to see. And then, like I said, you got Tim Hardaway coming in. I know he didn't have a great shooting night, but you can tell that this team is confident in him shooting the basketball off the bench, and they're going to let him shoot it. I mean, my goodness, like he's got the green light when he's in there. And I think that, as he gets more acclimated to this team, you're just going to see that shot percentage go up and up and up. So that was awesome to see too. Peyton Watson, I thought, had a really good bounce back game too. I mean, there were a lot of guys that had really good bounce back games, especially off the bench. Peyton Watson, I thought, was much better tonight. His handle has improved significantly over the offseason. At least that's what it's looked like to me over the first couple of games. I mean, he had a couple of really good crossover moves tonight, driving to the lane that were very effective. So that was awesome to see. He was very aggressive tonight, blocked a couple of shots. And, I just think Peyton Watson is getting close to a point of taking that next step as an NBA player where He's already an elite shot blocker, but if he can just sort of fine-tune his offensive game, that would be massive for the bench unit as well. And I think he has the ability to do that. He's at his best when he's driving to the rim. I mean, he can knock down outside shots, but his bread and butter is driving to the basket, drawing fouls. He's been much better at the free throw line. So, man, I just got to tell you, I mean, we're seeing guys like Julian Strawther, Jalen Pickett, and Hunter Tyson. They played a lot last year. Zeke Naji, too, by the way. I mean, those are 4 guys that had to play pretty significant minutes for this team because of the lack of depth. If this wasn't a blowout at the end of the game, none of those guys would have gotten into the game. Zeke got 3 minutes at the end of the game. Spencer Jones got 3 minutes at the end of the game. So did Deron Holmes, Jalen Pickett, and Julian Strawther. I mean, they were the closeout unit. That's how deep this team is. Now, Adelman did say earlier today Julian is going to start to play a little bit more this year. That's really going to be, I think, the battle is Tim Hardaway or Julian Strawther off the Nuggets bench. I mean, those are your 2 best shooting options when it comes to that second unit. And so I think that we'll see a couple of games coming up here where Julian gets more minutes just to see how that works out with the second unit. And if he's able to perform, he'll continue to get minutes. But it's going to be very difficult for those 4 guys I just mentioned to get playing time this year, barring injury or just a massive dip from one of the regular second unit guys. So just can't say enough about this team. All right, like I said, keep the comments coming in. I want to get to some of those. Christian Brown, another guy who had a very good second game after sort of a slow start after game 1. He played 31 minutes, shot 6 of 10, 8 for 8 from the line, meaning he was driving to the rim, and none of the starters missed a free throw. Aaron Gordon was 6 for 6. Cam Johnson, 6 for 6. Joker was 4 of 4. Jamal was 4 of 4, and Christian was 8 of 8. I mean, they shot 90.5% as a team from the free throw line tonight. That is incredible. I remember going back to the George Karl, Carmelo Anthony era of the Nuggets. They were always one of the best free throw shooting teams in the NBA. Always had one of the highest percentages. I mean, they had some good shooters on that team. J.R. Smith, Carmelo was a really good free throw shooter. Hell, even back to the days with Earl Boykins, who was a really good free throw shooter. I mean, they've had good free throw shooters, but the Nuggets, at least over the last couple of years, have sort of dipped in that area as far as free throw percentage goes. So it's really good to see them knock down the majority of their free throw. I mean, they were 38 of 42 from the line. If you get to the line 42 times and hit 90+%, you're going to win, 95 out of 100 games when you do that. So that was awesome to see as well. I mean, it is clear that this team is not settling for outside shots. They are driving to the rim. If they miss the shot, they're hoping to get fouled, or you've got Joker or Big Val there for an offensive rebound. So I'm liking the early game plan from the Nuggets and David Adelman. It's just been absolutely awesome to see. Still a few more minutes here to get your comments in. I want to get your thoughts so far. 2 games in to the Nuggets season, and I just want to hear your thoughts. I mean, early returns on this. Let's see here. Clyde says, I remember Andy say on Thursday, Denver will win 60 games this year. I don't know if they're going to win 60 games. That's a tough mark to get to, especially in the Western Conference, just because it's so freaking deep. But I will say they do have the depth to do it. If one of the starters inevitably goes down for a certain period of time throughout this regular season, I have full confidence that they have plenty of guys to step into that starting lineup and still have a productive bench. That's how deep I think this team is this year. So I have, I don't think that's going to happen just because, like I said, the West is so deep and it has been for forever, it seems like, at least the last 20 years. But they have the team that can do it. I believe that would be the first ever Denver Nuggets team to get to the 60 win marker. So that would be really cool to see. Let's see here. Kelton says, how many All-Stars is this team going to produce this year? Well, we know of one. That's all but guaranteed in Nikola Jokic. That's a really good question, Kelton. I was thinking about that during game one. Well, I was thinking about it when Aaron Gordon just went nuclear from the three-point line over the Golden State Warriors. Who do you think is the most likely Nugget, other than Joker, to be named an All-Star this year? I would say it's probably a toss-up between Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon. I think it's going to be Aaron Gordon if they have a second guy make the All-Star game. I just, the way he has started, the way he looks this year, he looks like he's on a mission. I think he can make the All-Star game this year. I really do. But also, if Jamal Murray can continue to play like he has been over the first two games of the year, he might have a shot as well. It really is shocking that Nikola Jokic has never had an all-star teammate in his career. I mean, that is just insane. For how many wins over the last 8 years this team has had, it just goes to show you just how damn good Nikola Jokic is. But yeah, give me your thoughts. Who other than Joker has a chance to make the all-star team this year? By the way, if you've listened to the show for a long time, I'm very anti all-star games in every sport, but I do appreciate when Nuggets get named to the All-Star game. I think it just says a lot about where the team and the individual player is at, which is cool. The game itself, I couldn't care less about because it's a glorified pickup game that nobody tries in. So yeah, great stuff. Nuggets win. They just absolutely dismantle the Phoenix Suns. 133-111 is your final. They're 1-1 on the year. Nikola Jokic gets his 69th career triple-double before the fourth quarter, which is just absolutely amazing. He only took 8 shots tonight. Incredible. 0 of 3 from beyond the arc, but he had 14 rebounds and 15 assists. By the way, he also had 3 steals. That's something we forget with Nikola Jokic. He's one of the best players in the NBA as far as steals go. I believe he was top 5 in the NBA in steals last year. That's one of those things with Joker where he has such a high basketball IQ and just a computer brain, basketball brain, that he's able to read these offenses and know where they're trying to go with the basketball, which is one of the things he does best. And that's what makes Nikola Jokic, for as unathletic as he is, relative to other NBA players, his smarts and his basketball IQ, that's where it really helps him out. And really, I think, has turned him into a plus defender. He's never going to be an elite defender, an elite shot blocker, but he is more than serviceable on the defensive end, which I know a lot of national media questioned early on in his career. He's great offensively, but he's a defensive liability. No, he's not. He is not a defensive liability. If anything, Joker is a positive on the defensive end for the Nuggets. Now, it's not a major positive, but he is not hurting them defensively whatsoever, and he hasn't for a long time. So I hope that narrative is dead and gone because it's just not true. So excellent win for the Nuggets. Again, 133-111. They improved to 1-1 on the season, and they will face off against the Minnesota Timberwolves coming up on Monday in Minnesota. Tip off at 7:30. That game will be on Peacock. So we'll see the Nuggets on an NBC affiliate for the first time in forever. But that's going to do it for the post-game show tonight, everybody. Again, Nuggets beat the Suns. We will be live with another edition of In the Paint after Nuggets and T-Wolves coming up on Monday. We'll see you then.